Could we have any more lights on than this? Hello, welcome to the video. As you will no doubt be able to tell behind me, this Audi is back in the garage. I'll just show you a little bit of video that I shot when the problem first came to light. Could we have any more lights on than this? So it's saying serious braking fault, drive to the dealer, etc, etc, etc. We've got the stability warning light on, the engine light on, the brake warning light on, the ABS light on, and the steering warning light on. We also have no speedometer and no miles until empty on the fuel display there. You'll see it's full of fuel, so that would usually be saying 500, 600 miles. So you can see the dashboard is lit up like a Christmas tree. This is a 2009 Audi A3 1.9 TDI, 8 PA chassis code. It's a sportback 5-door. It's got, as you will have seen there, the traction control light, the ABS light, the brake failure light, and the engine warning light on. The speedometer doesn't work, the odometer doesn't work, and the fuel gauge is stuck on full. So not much there then. I've done a code scanner, and it won't surprise you, I don't think, to hear that there are plenty of codes stored. I'll just tell you what they are. They're all on a fairly common theme. So we have powertrain data bus, missing message from ABS controller. ABS brakes cannot be reached. That's all it says. This is VCDS I'm using, by the way, so nothing else under the ABS section. Auto HVAC, ABS control module, no signal communication. Under the ABS section, we have control module for ABS brakes, no communication, lost communication with vehicle dynamics control module. CAN gateway, ABS control module, no signal communication. Steering assist, ABS control module, no signal communication. Central convenience, vehicle speed signal, no signal communication. The radio's happy enough. So is the rear left and the rear right, so are the rear left and the rear right doors. So that's it. That's plenty to be going on with, isn't it? All pointing to ABS, obviously. In researching this then, I found a few things. These cars are well known for problems with the ABS module. But as well as that, I've also read of issues around the fuses in here. So the main fuses down here getting corrosion or cracking and needing to be replaced. So I'm going to have a look at that. I've also read of chafing in the wiring loom going to the ABS module, causing it to lose power. So there's nothing actually wrong with the module, but the wires on the way to it are chafed through. So I'm going to start by having a good look at all that sort of thing and see where we go. And by the way, I have of course done the optimistic thing of deleting all the fault codes, and surprise, surprise, they all came back. So it isn't one of those strange glitches that throws up a load of codes and then goes away. I didn't think it would be, but it's always worth a go. In case you didn't know already, the ABS pump is down there underneath the battery. This is a bit tricky because for a lot of this I want the battery connected, but I've also got to take it out to get the space that I need to actually get to it. Anyway, let's have a look at some fuses. So battery voltage 12.55. The car's been standing for a little while, so that's probably why that's a little bit low, but that's not bad. In the owner's handbook, actually, very helpfully, they have a list of fuses. That says there's a version 1 with 30 fuses and a version 2 with 54. This is version 1 with 30. So fuse 4 and fuse 25. What we need to check. Fuse 4, 20 amp. That's got battery voltage both sides, and 25. You may be wondering, Andrew, can't you count? Well, I can, but it seems that they aren't labelled in order. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 25, 26. And then anyway, stop whinging, start measuring. Fuse 25, is that 40 ampere just there? Yep, got battery voltage on all of those. I think what I'm going to do now is take the battery out and see what I can see. I can always put it back in again if needed. 10mm. I think that's a 13, it is. Helps if you take both leads off, doesn't it, Andrew? Come on. Separating the airbox from the battery tray. It's a 5mm Allen hex head. Looks like this might be one of those situations where it's easier to just take the whole thing off. Yes, it will, because I'd forgotten there was another little rubber mounting underneath. Put the filter back in there to stop anything else falling into it. Whoa. Sorry if you moved a bit there, just as I was wrestling that plastic out of the way. So if you're doing this job, don't make the mistake I did and undo the battery tray before you've taken the air cleaner box off. The reason for that is that you need the battery tray to be solid and in position so you can wrestle the air cleaner box off the mounting points. So what I'm going to do now is have a right good look around this area. I'm not going to video that because it will basically just be the back of my head with a torch shining about the place, but if I find anything I will come back and tell you about it. Okay, made a bit of progress, not in terms of having found the problem, but just in terms of stripping more things out and having a look. I've had a look at the wiring harness. I can't see any obvious chafing, which is a bit of a frustration because that's what I was hoping to find. There was a little bit of chafing up here, which I'd actually wrapped with some rubber sleeving because I'd spotted that before a couple of years ago, so I don't think it's that. I've taken the connector off the ABS module. That involves sliding this plastic piece up using a screwdriver or a pair of pliers. Do it quite carefully, and that, as you slide it up, as with a lot of these type of connectors, it pushes the connector off the module. Also taken this little cover off the back. So we can see we've got a huge earth wire, two huge power wires at that end, and I've checked the wiring diagram, and as far as I can tell these go straight to the fuses and to the earth points respectively. They don't go through anything else. So what I'm going to try and do now is put a little bit of load on these using this 12 volt inspection lamp, which has about a 5 amp current draw, and just check that power's getting to them okay and that they can take that load. Go around doing a good bit of wiggling in every bit of the harness that I can get to and see if that makes any difference, and then we'll go from there. Okay, now I've got the test lamp connected up. Can you see it? Yes, you can see it. So negative directly on the negative of the battery. I've got a spade connector in one of those big 12 volt feed wires in the plug, and the light is just as bright as it was when it was connected directly to the battery. I've done a good bit of wiggling around the place and I can't make the light flicker. That's really good in terms of it not being a wiring harness problem. I'm going to do the same with the other one and then do it on the ground side as well. So exactly the same result again on the other power feed for the ABS module. Here we are testing the ground side. So I've got 12 volt feed going through the light and then being earthed through the earth connection, the ground connection on the brown wire in the ABS wiring harness. And that is fine as well. The light's nice and bright as it would be when it's directly on the battery. I've given all the wiring harness in the area a good old wiggle, and also the earth point down here, although I don't think that's the earth point for the ABS module, but anyway, just giving everything a good old wiggle and it's all looking absolutely fine. The light doesn't flicker at all. So this is pointing the finger a little bit more firmly at the ABS module, the common thing that often goes on these vehicles. I didn't mention actually at the start, it's done 170 something thousand miles, so it's not done badly. Okay, so it's looking like the ABS pump and associated electronics have got to come off. You'll see I've put the connector in a bag there because there's undoubtedly going to be brake fluid going everywhere, although I'll try not to, but as we know, if you've ever worked on stuff like this before, it's very difficult to keep it completely under control. There's a place not far from me that reconditions these units, and they've said they can do it. I gave them the part number. You might notice I've just given the pump a little polish there so I could read the part number, read the part number out to them. They can do it. I've seen some other videos where people have separated the electronics from the hydraulic block and just sent the electronics bit off. But this company that I use said they really wanted the whole thing, so they could test it properly. So the whole thing's going to come off. Now in the Audi manual there's a recommended procedure that you do before you do that, and I presume this is to reduce the pressure in the system and to minimise a brake fluid going everywhere. And that procedure is to press the pedal down using a pedal depressor. I don't have a pedal depressor, but I do have a piece of wood, and that has pressed the pedal down the recommended 60 millimeters. And then it says bleed or open the bleed screws on the front left and rear left calipers, and wait until no more fluid comes out and then crack on. So I'm going to jack the car up. I'm going to do quite a quick method here, so I'm just going to use the jacks. I would like to reiterate that I would never go under a car when it's just held up with jacks, but I'm not going to be going under it just to bleed it. So I'm going to put another trolley jack under the rear of the car there, take the wheels off, release the pressure, and then get cracking with taking the ABS pump off. These are 12s. No, they're not. They're 11. So at that point the brake fluid isn't flowing anymore. So tighten back up. Not much came out there, but a little bit did. Do the same at the back. Alright, just getting ready to take the ABS unit out now. You'll see I've labelled the lines in a manner that might only mean something to me, but I guess that's the important bit, as it's going to be me that's putting them back in. I've taken a picture as well. I've also taken the bolt out to the left of the pump where the clutch line is supported just on the bracket there. So I've taken that bolt out, so it's a little bit loose, but I need to take the lines off next. So I'm going to be using a line spanner or a flare nut spanner, whatever you call them, to do this. This is the one that I originally had in my toolbox, but the open section isn't wide enough to fit over the brake lines on an Audi. This is quite an old one. I think I've inherited it from my father. So this is from a time when the brake lines were bare and not coated in plastic or rubber compound like the ones on this Audi are. So always a pleasure to be forced to buy new tools. I bought this one instead. Still an 11mm, but you can see, if you can just compare the ends, the gap on this one is much wider. I've also got a crow's foot in an 11, although this is a 12 point, so more risk of rounding off. So I'm going to try not to use that, but if I have to, at least I know I've got it there available. Start with a little bit of this. Never truly convinced whether it does anything or not, but these have probably been on here since 2009 when the car was made, so I guess it's worth a go. The manual talks about starting with the big lines, that one and that one, and then going on to the smaller ones. So we'll start with this one at the front. They're 11s. Well, if they're all as easy as that, I will be very happy. But in saying that, I've probably spoken too soon. In my view, once you've cracked these with the line spanner, you can make things a little bit easier for yourself by using the standard open spanner, because there's not really as much pressure on the union nut. I was just seeing how much slack there is on these lines. Sometimes lines like this can be clamped very close, and that makes it very hard. I think I'll leave that in just a couple of turns just to stop any debris getting in there. Although this is going to be completely reconditioned, I don't want to introduce any muck into it. So now I'll go for the other one at the back. Sorry if you can't see a great deal, but you can probably gather this is about the only angle I've got to approach this. Do that one mostly by hand, that's nice. Okay, that one's loose. It's a good amount of slack in that line, so that'll come away quite easily. That one loose as well. That one's last one, not quite happy to be undone by hand just yet, so we'll go at that with the spanner. I'm trying to bring the lines up with the nut so that the nut isn't like pushing into an area of line and the inevitable grit that I haven't managed to get out as it's sliding up. So I'm trying to bring the lines up at the same time, which doesn't always work, but that's the aim anyway. I have to move my first level rag now because it was actually stopping, or it will stop the bracket from moving. Right, starting to take the lines off now. I don't know whether anyone else is in the habit of doing this, but what I tend to do is use the bleed nipple covers, the little rubber covers. I'll make sure they're clean to go over the ends of the hydraulic lines just to stop any dirt getting in them when I'm taking them off. So I'm just going to do that with all the other, how many are there? 5 more, and then we should be ready to take it off. Okay, all the lines have got their little cover on. Now, hopefully, we should be able to pull this out. It feels like it's loose out of the back mounting point. But maybe not out of the front one. I'll just see if I can give it a little bit of encouragement. Ah, there we go. It had to go backwards to just miss that little clutch hydraulic supporting line bracket. Now hopefully there we go. Just a case of manoeuvring it out with more patience than I'm used to applying to these situations, just to make sure that you don't bend any of the lines as you're doing it. And there we go. I'm going to set that upside down for a little while so that all of the brake fluid that's inside here can drip out of these holes, and then I'm going to try and find some way of blocking up the holes, stop any more debris getting in, and then send it away to be reconditioned. Well, I hope anyway.
So there we go, it's all out on the bench. The part number, for those of you interested, 1K0614517BD. There on the back we can see a bit more information. This car has ESP. I think some of the slightly older cars didn't. I think 2009, which is the year this car was made, was the year when things changed over. That's the impression I got from the Audi manuals anyway. I'm going to whip this bracket off, because there's no point in paying to post a bracket. I don't think the bracket is the source of our problems. So I'll do that, wait for the brake fluid to drain out, not that much is actually coming out, and then get this sent off. I will be back with you when it's back, and hopefully they find something wrong with it, and hopefully they can fix it.